Hey guys, Bob with Million Mile Garage. I hope you're enjoying your long July 4th weekend. I'm still hoping to take this car out and cruise it, maybe Sunday, or maybe July 4th. Who knows? Problem we ran into is I think we've got a bad brake hose because when you step on the brakes, the car kind of like suddenly darts to the right and then goes straight. And then if you do it 4 or 5 times of pulling to the right, then it just continues to pull to the right. So I suspect the left brake hose is probably choked up worse than the right one. So I ordered some new brake hoses from Rock Auto. And these are AC Delco, but when you take them out of the AC Delco box, they say Sunsong and made in China. That's nice. So, of course, it's probably been, I'm going to say middle 90s when I put brake hoses on this car. It was the same time I did calipers. It's been that long. So this one was completely frozen, and then the hex was rounded off a little bit from the last time I had it apart. So what I ended up doing was taking a Dremel, this thing right here, and I basically just cut through the fitting right there on the hose, and then just took a chisel and opened it up so I could get this to free up. It was just frozen in there. I tried soaking it in tranny fluid overnight, WD-40. I tried using the old standby, right? Use the torch, and it just wasn't having it. So I've got this broke loose, which is good, and then I've just got to get this fitting over here off. I think I've already got it broke loose, yep. I'll have this hose off. I'll have the new one in a jiffy. In order to get this to pull this far out so that I can get to it to cut it, I did have to disconnect that bracket right there. You can kind of see that bracket floating around. But that way I think I can save on the hard lines, which is what I was hoping for. So wish me luck. All right, I got it off and it's flowing fluid a little bit. That's actually a good sign. So I'll get that new hose on, and hopefully we'll be back in business. Okay, I got the fitting tightened up here. Tightening it is no problem. Loosening is the problem because it's rounded off from almost 30 years ago. And I can see the new hose is flowing fluid out freely, as the other one there wasn't any dripping out at all when I disconnected it. So that's probably a good sign that I probably fixed something. We'll cut the old hose open just to see. All right, so the kit does come with new washers to hook the hose up to the caliper. That's good. Never seen, I don't ever recall seeing something like this in with a brake hose before. You can see this is an AC Delco, and it's a 18J107, and that fits my 1979 Chevy Camaro with front disc brakes. Oh, there it is, made in China. Sure. Kind of weird. It says prior to installation, the brake hose is removed from the box and placed in a straight position at room temperature of 15 to 40 degrees Celsius, or basically 60 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. After a minimum of 30 minutes, manually flex the hose, remove any hose curvature. This practice will relieve any deformation of the brake hose caused by packaging or storage. Inspect the hose cover for cracks. If none exist, install the hose on the vehicle. After installation, check hose routing for proper clearance. Okay, sure. This hose has been out of the box for I guess this is day 4, and I did do what those instructions said. Kind of weird. I don't ever recall getting instructions like that, but I did follow them. All right, you got a fresh bottle of sealed brake fluid. It's the best thing to do when you're going to replace a lot of brake fluid, so you don't have one that's been sitting around a long time that's been absorbing moisture, because brake fluid is hydroscopic. And the reason I use .3 and the reason I use SuperTech is because it's the cheapest. Austin and I bled the brakes on this side. Everything looks good. This only goes in one way, the way this is notched. So I'm just going to slide this into place like that. And then there's a retainer. Stick that in. Then I'm just going to take a hammer and set it in place. There. That's on there good and firm. That way it can't come out. So this is all set. We're good. We got this side fixed. Hey, what I wanted to show y'all was on the workbench. I've got the old hose out, and I think this kind of goes along with my hypothesis of either a collapsed or swollen brake hose. So here's the old one, and you can see where I dremeled it. I could not get the fitting to come loose on the hard line,
on the frame, which I was really concerned about. So actually just dremeling this within an inch of its life, you can see where I was just starting to get into the threads, and then I just took a chisel and hit it and opened it up, and as soon as I did that, it cracked loose, no problem. But this one, when I go to put some air through it, I'm going to try not to cut my lip on this. Most of it is leaking out around my lips. I can barely blow through this. And then here's another new one. You know, here's the new AC Delco Sun Song. China. And this one blows through pretty easy. Easy peasy. So I thought what we do is we'll take this one and we'll cut it open maybe like right here. And maybe we can see maybe where this is swollen up. I'm guessing the inside of this diameter is probably right decreased. It's either blocked or whatever. Because you see in the movies when somebody cuts somebody's brake lines, you can see how easy it is to do. And there you go. You see how it started to collapse. It's not round anymore. And then of course when it flexes, you see it just goes closed. So there's a classic collapsed brake line. And that was probably getting pretty close. Of course, you know, right here towards the fitting, it doesn't look too bad. But you can see that's definitely collapsed. And probably if we dissected this in a few more spots. Wow. Yeah, so really up towards the fitting, where this got worked a little bit. That's probably where it was collapsed the worst. Right in there. And it doesn't take much. You know, of course, when it flexes a little bit, you see what happens when that thing's being twisted in the car. And that's all it took. Doesn't look terrible there. But definitely up towards here, I think is probably where the obstruction was starting. Yeah, you see it was collapsing in. It's not round anymore. So there you go. Looks like a classic collapsed brake hose. And you know, when they collapse enough, they actually start to act like a check valve, and it'll let fluid go into the wheel cylinder or the brake caliper, and then it won't let it come back out, and that'll cause a wheel to lock up or drag. I don't think we weren't there yet because the calipers, the wheel spun freely, but we were getting close. So of course, I don't know if you can hear the thunder outside or not. This is definitely a good day to be doing it. We definitely won't be doing a test drive today, but hopefully tomorrow. So I've gone ahead and cut this sheath off here, and I was kind of anxious to see what this looked like here. Look at that. Probably doesn't look too good down in here towards this either. So I thought maybe I'd kind of cut it off like maybe right here. I know this is where this bends a little bit too. And after a while it takes a set. Actually, it doesn't look too bad right there. I'd say probably the worst spot was actually up towards here where we first cut it. I can't remember which end now. Yeah, these ends. You see where this is like partially collapsed there. It's not round anymore. That's probably where it still has a lot of restriction. Oh yeah, how about that? See, I still can't hardly push anything past this. But these right here, not bad at all. There. So right there is where it is. How about that? Be nice if you could shine some light through it somehow and see. I had to get fooled because I know this end, and this doesn't look super terrible, but if I run just a little piece of the drill bit from a pin vise, if I run it in there, it gets stuck right there. There's a drag right there. You can feel it. So it's smaller than that diameter of that pin vise right there when I stick it in here. You see this? So if there was some way for me to dissect this further, we probably could see it probably ended up collapsing more where this was crimped right here. I'm guessing that's where the ultimate failure was, but that's where the main obstruction is. This goes back just a little bit farther in here. You can feel it. Yep, just like that. Yep, definitely a problem. How about that? Hey, just eyeballing this thing. If I get over where I get enough light to bounce off the floor, you can see right there. Let me turn it around a little bit. It's easier to see that way. You can see how blocked that is right there. If you look right down the center, you can see it's like a half moon. That's how collapsed the end of that hose is, just that one end. And that's all it took to cause an obstruction. All right, she's back together, sitting on the ground. We've got this side bled. I know we still got the other hose to change out, but you know, I've still got a bleeder screw on that side that's probably stuck. Not sure what I'm going to do about that. But I think it's good enough to take it out and test on it tomorrow. And you can see we got a lot of old brake fluid out of the master. You can see the bottom now. That actually looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So we're on a climate controlled garage too, which is always a nice place to add brake fluid so that you don't have to worry about it absorbing any moisture while you got the cap off and got the master open, because brake fluid is hydroscopic. It does absorb moisture. I don't know how quickly. But anyway, hopefully the next video we'll have this thing out tooling around. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all later.